My fiancé said, and I want it before wedding. I replied, I am not marrying into a system. I saved the bank alert, printed her boundaries email, moved my paycheck, and paused venue payments. She pulled my wedding admin access. Then a login notice from her office network hit my email. The shared calendar reminder lit up while I was standing in line at a print shop in Lidditz. It said, talk tonight, open relationship, no backing out. The time was 8:30 p.m. The note field just said, I feel trapped. I stared at that line like it was a typo. We were engaged. We had a wedding date picked. We had a guest list on the fridge and a deposit deadline coming up. I'm Callan Wexler, 41, and I work on a bottling line at a small soda plant outside Lancaster. My job is to check caps and seals so nothing leaks on the truck ride. I spend my day doing the same seal test again and again because one bad cap ruins a whole pallet. Our townhouse smelled like basil from the little plant Mealy's kept by the window. There was always a soft hum from the air purifier in the hallway. And the entry table was covered in wedding mailers and a jar of spare keys we never labeled. Mealy's Hargrove was 39 and sharp in a way that made people listen. She was a CPA and a senior audit associate at a regional firm called Hearthline Accounting. She lived by rules and deadlines at work, then came home and acted like rules were optional. That night she sat across from me at the kitchen table like we were in a meeting. Her voice was calm and controlled. We should open the relationship, she said. I feel trapped. I didn't shout. I didn't panic. I asked, trapped by what? That was confrontation one. She stared at the grain in the table like she was reading a script off it. By routine, she said. By the same weekend, the same plans, the same you. She said it like I was a hallway she had walked through too many times. I kept my hands flat on the table. Are you saying you want to date other people? I asked. She nodded once, like it was a small thing. Then she added the part that made my stomach drop. And I want it before the wedding, she said, because I don't want to wonder what I missed. The calendar reminder suddenly made sense, and I hated that it did. Here is the first piece of practical advice I learned right then. If someone asks for a big change, slow down and ask for clear terms. If the plan is real, it should survive simple questions. I took a breath and said, great idea. Her eyebrows lifted because she expected a fight. I watched her face and I saw relief first, then something else, like surprise that I did not beg. She leaned forward and started listing rules fast. We keep it private, she said. No friends and no family. She emphasized family like she was drawing a hard line around someone. I knew who she meant without her saying it. Ione, her older sister. Mealy's hated Ione with a polite smile that never reached her eyes. Ione was successful, calm, and always seemed to land on her feet. She ran operations for a renewable energy company and talked about projects like they mattered, not like they were props. When Mealy's said no family, I nodded like it was a reasonable boundary. Inside, I felt that seal test feeling again. When a cap looks tight but you can still smell syrup, you know there is more going on under the surface. The next day at work, the plant smelled like citrus concentrate and warm metal. The conveyor belts rattled and hissed. I kept thinking about Mealy's saying trapped like I was a cage she had chosen. 2 weeks went by and she acted lighter. She started going out after work more. She would come home smiling at her phone, then set it face down like it was a habit. Then the money proof hit me on a Tuesday morning. Our joint wedding savings account sent a bank alert. It was a charge for 2 tickets to a members' dinner series at a private club in downtown Lancaster. I stared at it because we did not buy dinner series tickets. We were saving for flowers and chairs and food for 80 people. Mealy's had told me she was just meeting colleagues, but the charge said 2 tickets. I did not accuse her right away. I wrote the charge down in a plain notebook and took a screenshot for my records. When your life changes, you need facts you can hold, not feelings that shift. That night I asked, "What is the dinner series charge?" She did not flinch. "Work thing," she said, calm and flat. Then she added, "Don't start counting my meals, Callan." That calm tone was a warning. It wasn't guilt. It was control. A few days later, we had a family brunch for wedding planning. We met at a small place in Mannheim with mismatched mugs and loud espresso machines. Mealy sat close to me and touched my arm a lot, like we were perfect. Ione showed up in a simple blazer with rain on her shoulders. She hugged Mealy's and got a stiff pat back. Then Ione looked at me and said, "How are you holding up with all this planning?" It was a normal question, but it felt like a lifeline. I said, "I'm trying to keep the seal test on the whole thing." Ione smiled like she got it. Mealy's eyes narrowed for half a second. After brunch, Ione walked me to the parking lot because Mealy's went back inside to talk to the server. Ione kept her voice low. "You look tired," she said. "Is everything okay?" I had no plan to confess, but the truth leaked out anyway. "Mealy's wants to open the relationship," I said. Ione stopped walking. She looked at me like she was measuring my words. Then she said, "She does not feel trapped. She feels entitled." She said it gently, like she hated saying it but could not lie. I should have walked away right then. Instead, I asked, "Do you think I'm missing something?" Ione's face softened. "I think you are pretending this is fine so you don't lose your wedding," she said. That night, Mealy's acted cheerful and asked if I wanted to set my own plans too. Her voice was sweet, but her eyes were watchful. It was like she wanted me to do something, as long as it was harmless. So I did something she did not expect. I texted Ione and asked if she wanted coffee on Saturday. I told her the truth. "We agreed to date other people and I want to spend time with you." Ione did not answer right away. When she did, it was simple. "Coffee is fine," she wrote, "and I want it to be respectful." That word mattered more than anything Mealy's had said in weeks. Saturday, we met at a quiet roastery in Ephrata that smelled like toasted nuts and warm milk. Ione asked direct questions and waited for real answers. She did not flirt like a game. She just listened like I was a person. Somewhere between the second cup and the rainy window, I felt my chest loosen. Not because it was exciting, because it was steady. The location proof came the next day, and it came from Mealy's herself. A new calendar entry appeared on our shared wedding calendar. It said, "Do not invite Ione, seating change, confirmed today." I stared at it because it was cruel in a quiet way. She wasn't just upset. She was trying to erase her sister from our wedding like a stain, and she put it on a shared calendar like I would accept it. When Mealy's got home, I asked, "Why did you add a note to cut your sister from the wedding?" She didn't blink. "She's stressful," she said. "I don't want her energy there." I said, "I had coffee with her." Mealy's face went still. The air felt like it changed temperature. She set her purse down slowly. "No," she said, cold and calm. "Not her. Anyone but her." That was confrontation, too. I kept my voice level. "You said no family, but you never said you can control who I see," I said. She tilted her head like I was the one breaking a promise. "It's my sister," she said. "You're doing this to hurt me." That word, hurt, was a trick. She was trying to make the open relationship about my cruelty, not her demand. I said, "You asked for open. I agreed. I'm not hiding it and I'm not breaking the rules you wrote." She leaned in and spoke like she was closing a deal. "We close it," she said. "Right now, this was a mistake." Her voice stayed calm, but her eyes were sharp. I shook my head once. "I decline," I said. "If you can open it, you can't snap it shut the second you don't like my choice." I heard my own words and knew there was no going back. Mealy stood up and walked to the sink like she needed distance to think. "Fine," she said, still calm. "Then you are choosing her over me." She said it like a verdict. The next morning she acted like nothing happened. She sent me a cheerful message about caterer samples. She kissed my cheek and asked if I could be normal for a few days. That was the mini hook that scared me. When someone gets calm after a blow-up, it often means they are planning. 2 days later, I got an email from the wedding website. The subject line was "Admin access changed." I opened it and saw my account had been removed as a co-admin. The only admin listed was Mealy's. I called her from the plant parking lot while the line inside thumped and clanked. "Why did you remove my access?" I asked. She said, "So you can't invite your little friend." Her tone was still calm, like she was proud. That's practical advice number 2. When someone changes shared access to punish you, treat it like a warning light. Secure what you can and stop making new shared commitments. I changed the password to my own banking app and moved my paycheck deposit to a separate account. I did not drain anything. I just stopped the pipeline into a system she was using to control me. Then I called the venue and asked what happened if we paused payments until we agreed on terms. The woman on the phone was polite and neutral. She told me the next payment was due in 9 days or our date could be released. That deadline suddenly felt like a clock over my head. I met Ione that evening at a small park in Elizabethtown. We walked under bare trees and talked in quiet sentences. I told her Mealy's tried to cut her from the wedding and closed my access to the wedding site. Ione didn't smile. "She has always tried to punish me in ways that look reasonable," she said. Then she looked straight at me and asked, "Are you safe in your own home?" That question hit harder than any insult, because it was true. I did not feel safe. The lawyer meeting happened late that night in the Lancaster Amtrak station waiting area. The vending machine lights buzzed and the floor smelled like old pretzels. Gideon Price sat with his coat still on, calm and unbothered. He was older and had a voice that made panic sound foolish. "You are not married," he said, "but you are entangled." He asked about the ring, the lease, the wedding deposits, and the shared accounts. He gave me advice in short, sharp lines. Stop paying into the wedding until you have agreement. Do not argue over text. If she threatens, document and respond once. Then he said, also, write down the open relationship terms she set, because she will rewrite them. That was practical advice number 3. If someone changes the story every time you speak, get the story in writing. You cannot build a future on shifting words. The next day, I searched my inbox for the message where Mealy's wrote her rules. I found it. The email subject line was boundaries so we don't get messy. Inside, she listed the rules in neat bullet points. Private, no friends, no family. And the last line said, if you break this, we are done. I forwarded it to Gideon and saved a copy in a plain folder. The killer receipt arrived 2 hours later. My email provider sent a security notice. New login to your account detected. It listed a device and location. Hearthline accounting laptop office network. My hands went cold. Mealy's had tried to log into my email from her work laptop. Not by accident. Not by mistake. She was trying to delete her own boundary email before I could use it. That app login history was proof, and it also carried a consequence she didn't think about. Accounting firms watch their networks. They log activity, and they do not like employees using company devices to access personal accounts for fights. I did not send that alert to her boss out of spite. I sent it because she crossed a line that could become dangerous. Gideon helped me draft a short notice to her. Do not access my accounts again. All communication goes through counsel. Then he sent a separate note to Hearthline's IT security address with the alert attached, asking them to confirm the access came from their network. 2 days later, Hearthline responded to Gideon. They confirmed the login attempt occurred on their office network. They asked for no more details. That told me everything. An internal review had started. Mealy's came home that evening with a tight smile. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She said, "Did you contact my firm?" Her voice was calm, but it had steel under it. I said, "You logged into my email from your work laptop." She held my gaze and tried to own it. "I was protecting us," she said. "You were going to ruin my family." That sentence was the mini hook that made my choice clear. She thought us meant her control, and she thought family meant she could decide who deserved respect. The next weekend, Ione and I went to a community fundraiser in Lancaster for her energy project. We went openly, because the only way to keep an agreement clean is to keep it honest. Mealy saw a photo online and called me 3 times in a row. I didn't answer. Gideon told me to let paper speak, not emotion. But Mealy showed up at our townhouse an hour later, standing on the porch like she owned the air. We met in Gideon's office conference room 2 days after that. It was in a converted mill building with brick walls and a long table that smelled like furniture polish. Mealy's arrived in a blazer like it was a negotiation, not a breakup. Confrontation 3 started with denial. "I never meant open," she said quickly. "You took one stressed conversation and ran wild." Gideon did not react. I didn't either. I slid the printed boundary email across the table, then Mealy switched to minimize. "Okay, fine," she said. "It was just talk. People say things when they're overwhelmed." She tapped the paper like it was trivial. Gideon stayed quiet, and I let the silence do work. Mealy's eyes flicked to the app login alert Gideon placed next to the email. Then she moved into partial admit. "I logged in because you were twisting it," she said. "And I didn't think it mattered. It was our relationship." She said our like it was a chain. Finally came the emotional move. Her voice softened and her eyes got glassy. "I feel replaced," she said. "Ione always wins." "And now she took you too." I leaned back and kept my voice steady. "You opened the relationship," I said. "You tried to control the only person I chose." I paused, then added, "And you tried to delete the truth when it didn't favor you." Mealy's face tightened. "So you're ending our engagement?" she asked. I nodded once. "Yes," I said. "I am not marrying into a system where you change rules to stay on top." Gideon handled the rest like a professional. Ring return terms, lease exit date, wedding vendor notices. He made it clean, not cruel. A week later, Hearthline placed Mealy's on administrative leave. I did not cheer. I didn't post. I just felt a quiet sadness for the person she could have been if she didn't treat love like a contest. Mealy's tried to blame me, then tried to blame Ione, then tried to blame stress. But her own choices sat in writing. The boundary email, the admin change notice, the app login history from her work network. A SEAL test never lies when the pressure hits. I moved out first and took a short-term rental above a greenhouse supply store in Mount Joy. It smelled like soil and wet plastic, and the heater clicked all night. For the first time in months, my chest felt open when I breathed. At work, I focused on my line. I checked caps. I fixed jams. I got offered a shift lead role because I stayed steady when things got messy. Ione and I took it slow. No drama, no revenge, just 2 adults choosing each other with eyes open. 3 months later, Mealy's emailed me from a new address. She wrote 2 lines. "I miss you. Can we reset?" Gideon told me not to respond, and I didn't. My peace came on a Sunday afternoon at a quiet spot in Longwood Gardens. Ione and I sat on a bench near a fountain and watched families walk by with soft voices. She squeezed my hand and said, "You don't have to earn calm. You just have to protect it." I thought about the calendar reminder from the print shop. I thought about how fast Mealy's tried to close the relationship once she lost control. And I knew the real trap wasn't routine. The real trap was a partner who wanted freedom for herself and limits for everyone else. In my world, a SEAL test is simple. If the cap fails, you don't argue with the bottle. You replace the cap and move on before the whole batch leaks out. I finally did that with my life, and it held. Thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe the channel.